Hey guys, so today I'm going to discuss some just different communication strategies or styles with narcissists, some of the things that they may do. So you might notice during the idealization phase that they really use a lot of flattery, and you may hear things like this. You may hear them say things like, "I've never," or "This is the happiest I've ever been." They may say something like that, or "I've never been so happy before," or "You're the love of my life," or "You're my soulmate." Like, they may say things like that, right? And it's pretty extreme. It's sort of extreme communication. For a grown person to say that, "This is the happiest I've ever been," when they're with somebody, that sounds nice, but it can be it's something to look for almost as a red flag if their language is like so extreme like that, like they've never been happier than the moment they met you. That's pretty that's pretty extreme. I know that people can feel that way when they're first in love, but with the narcissist, it's really it's not genuine, it's not sincere, it's flattery, it's sort of over the top flattery. They could tell you that you're a genius or you're the smartest person that they've ever met. Anytime there's this sort of extreme, sort of exaggerated communication, it's just something to look out for. Some other things that might happen with narcissists, very common if, like with one person, if they went to like very specific restaurants, they have no qualms about taking their new source of supply to like those same exact restaurants. It's almost like they just, one person's there, the other person just comes in to replace, and they're not interested in the individuality of those people. Although in the beginning of the relationship, during the love bombing, you feel the opposite. You feel like they're totally interested in you, like they're fascinated by you, like you're the one that they're just fascinated by. And keep in mind, they do a lot of studying of you in the first phase of the relationship to get to know your likes and dislikes, because again, they're mirroring you and they're flattering you, and they want to make you feel like they really understand you. But this is all very calculated, and they're really using that information to store it for later, figuring out how to best hurt you, really. Whatever you told them in the relationship, your deepest insecurities or your most intimate vulnerabilities, they will take those things, and very specifically during the discard phase, they will hit on every single one of those insecurities to hurt you in the most sort of specific and calculated sort of way. And that's very painful for people who thought that they could trust this person. They were in love. They believed that this person was also in love. But again, this is fake love, guys. This is love fraud. The narcissists never loved. They don't love the new source of supply. They don't love their children. They don't love their stepchildren. They don't bond, right? They don't bond. So even their friendships, you'll see, are quite shallow, and they're very activity based. And they have no qualms also about discarding their friends. So you'll see sometimes if there's a split up or a breakup with a narcissist, like they will literally discard like their significant other, the children. They will discard any of the mutual friends that might know what really happened, and would possibly either call the narcissist out or suggest this thing, which is that they're not perfect. Because again, the idea here, they may like literally, like it's almost like a snake shedding its old life and like stepping into a new skin suit. It is weird. Normal people don't do that. Normal people, neurotypicals typically, when they have a breakup, they retain a lot of their old friends and their connections. They don't literally just, slip out of this life into a new life. But again, remember, the new source of supply is not onto them. The new source of supply is buying their mask of perfection. And this can even be somebody who's known them for a very long time, but the only context in which they really know them is the mask that they've been sending to that, whatever that environment is, if it's a work environment or a friend environment. Like they only know the mask of perfection that the narcissist is sending, right? Once that person gets into like any sort of real relationship with the narcissist, they're going to find out that that level of shallowness that they know them at is as deep as these people go. So they may be hoping for like a deeper level of intimacy, and that is not that's not possible with narcissists. They cannot handle intimacy. These relationships with them are all surface. Even if you've been married to them for 20 years, it's a surface, shallow relationship. They do not have the capacity for a deep level of emotional intimacy or really physical intimacy, not one that involves love. Their whole deal is, the currency in which what they're looking for is not love. What they are looking for is to have somebody, they're looking for approval, flattery, adulation, worship. They're looking for people that will buy into their mask of perfection. That is what they're looking for. They are not looking for love. Love requires authenticity, vulnerability, reciprocity, honest communication, forgiveness. It requires being able to work through difficult times and work through disagreements. It involves caring enough about a relationship to address the concerns that bother you. You might find with a narcissist, you might have been with the narcissist for 20 years, and maybe you didn't even argue much. My scenario is we hardly ever argued, but what you'll find is that's really because the narcissist is so detached. They don't argue because they don't really care. They don't really care about the relationship. And that's going to be the same with their new source of supply. Again, these are people that repeat the same pattern over and over and over again in their lives. These are the people that have been married, that by the end of their life, they've been married 4 times. Each time that they, into marriage, they already have been cheating. They already have lined up a new source of supply. They do not have gaps typically in their relationships, and they'll just go through people. They'll just go, it's like, cycling through people. And sometimes they'll try to go back and recycle their old sources of supply just because they're sort of lazy in terms of like getting a new source. But again, these are people that are going to repeat the same relationship pattern over and over and over again. Unless they, do some introspection and, maybe hit a really bad bottom where they've isolated themselves from, all people, and, they've sort of taken their life down to the gutter. In those cases, maybe, if they can, I even think if they can become, if they become alcoholic, which is really common with narcissists or drug addicts, maybe that will actually get them into a 12-step program where they can start taking some responsibility for their actions. Again, these are people that absolutely cannot take they have no personal accountability. They have they have an inability to take responsibility for the harms they cause. These are people, you could be in a relationship with them for 10 or 15 years, and once you get out, you look back and you realize that person may have never apologized in the relationship. Sometimes you don't even know that's happening when it's going on, but this is somebody that, has never made amends in the relationship, never taken any responsibility, because again, they blame they need that source of supply because they need somebody to project their garbage onto, right? They need somebody to blame and to project and to make it, that person's problem that they're unhappy, or that, they'll blame, this is textbook narcissist. They will cheat, they will lie, they will gaslight, they will silent treatment, they will crazy make. And then when the relationship is dissolved, they will blame their previous partner for the affair that they're having. That's what they'll do. They'll be like, well, whatever, this person did this, so they'll justify their cheating. they'll justify their lying. They'll never say, oh, well, I need to take some responsibility for this. And again, they recreate history. You've seen that a lot where they will, in the relationship, it was one way. And then when they get out and if they're caught, they will literally recreate the past. They will make it something other than what it really was. This is textbook narcissist because, again, it's all about deflection, projection, blaming. They absolutely cannot take any personal responsibility for their actions. And they're not self-aware. They don't do any introspection. They don't look at themselves and go, maybe I'm the problem. They just keep repeating the same behavior over and over and over again throughout their lives. Until usually, what I've read is the aging narcissist is the worst because as they get older, they've literally alienated everyone pretty much from their life, except for maybe a few flying monkeys or maybe some narcissists in their family. But in general, these are people that end up being very lonely because they have, cycled through people. They've cycled through relationships. They've discarded friends. They've discarded children. They've discarded families. That's just what they do. So I know this one was kind of all over the place, but I wanted to give you an idea of some of the stuff that you might be experiencing, if you're dealing with one of the cluster Bs. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye.